Good evening, this is Atmospheric Alex here, and welcome back to another U.S. weather forecast outlook and discussion. And today we're going to be talking about, once again, our pretty big warm-up that is going to be on the way around Christmas time. That could definitely send temperatures above average rather than below average, and maybe a much less snowy Christmas than normal. I'll have all the details coming up in the video. So we're going to start off the video here with our current analysis, and I decided to add all the watches and warnings because, I think that's extremely important, right? You could see, looks like we're going to be talking about the West Coast again, right? I mean, that's what we're probably going to have to do over the next few days. It's looking quite significant. Everything you see that is in kind of like the bronze colors here, all of this, these are high wind watches and warnings. So this is going to be a very serious event. Up here in Montana, when we see this atmospheric river move in, we could see it winds gusting upwards of 80 to even 90 miles an hour in some isolated locations. This is going to be a very damaging, potentially even a bit destructive windstorm pushing through those areas that typically see wind at this time of year. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to our Climate Prediction Center's temperature outlook here. Over the next 6 to 10 days, you could see above average temperatures across a very large area of the US here. And honestly, probably well above average temperatures for some folks as well. We actually are almost off the scale here in some areas, a 90% chance of above average temperatures there. Yeah, we're talking about a pretty substantial warm up right around Christmas time is going to definitely lead to less snowfall for some locations. Now, as I play through the European model here in terms of our temperatures, you can see we do have a little bit of a warm up that actually comes through. It looks like around Thursday, we're actually going to start seeing temperatures going up near 60 degrees in some areas of the Ohio Valley. We're also going to see a bit of a severe weather risk, but we're not talking about that just yet. And further off to the southeast, getting into the 70s. That's kind of crazy, right? But you do have a big old Arctic outbreak up here that is unloading in, on portions of North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, areas that typically see it at this time of year. And this is going to be a pretty substantial feature here, bringing down a ton of cold air, temperatures well into the negatives as we head into Friday morning. That's something we need to watch out for in Minnesota, and then points up to the north as well. This does dive pretty far south, and once again you can see our freezing line going all the way down here like it never left in the first place, unfortunately. So there's going to be some ups and downs at first before our pattern can get well established. But once we get into a more established pattern, you can take a look here. Yes, we have another cold shot and another one, but after all this mess moves through, we could definitely be talking about a pretty significant warm-up. Look at this. On Christmas Day on the European model, this is not a forecast. However, this is definitely a possibility. I'd say give 5, take 10 degrees for some of these locations here. But you could see widespread, potentially 70-degree temperatures. I mean, this is absolutely crazy for December standards. Look at this. So we're going to really be talking about a big warm-up. And if you don't like the snow, if you don't like the cold, this is some great news for you all. This is going to head quite off to the north as well. And you can see through time, I mean, this just continues, and it establishes even more. I mean, this is just crazy, but again, not a forecast, and then you can see colder air towards the end of the period. I do think January is going to reload pretty crazily in terms of our, Arctic outbreaks or polar vortex. We're probably going to see a lot of problems, but we just don't know that for a fact yet. How about your precipitation? Well, we're going to have our big storm system coming in. Look at this. Blizzard-like conditions are going to be possible, in northern Montana, northern North Dakota, along that low pressure system there. But our big storm system we're really talking about is going to be on Thursday, where we do have a risk of severe weather. I believe it is right within here, that portion of Tennessee, western, middle Tennessee could see some severe weather chances, marginal in nature, but still existent. And you can see that line pushing through. And then after that, we're just going to see a ton of energy flying around up north, some isolated snow flurries and clipper systems being possible. But then, by the time we get into around Christmas, it actually looks to be some really nice weather. No rain in sight, probably not many clouds. Bright, sunny, and 70 degrees. We'll see. Again, let's just take this day by day. Things can and will change really quickly on the models, especially as we get into our 5-day period. I'll tell you that all this warm, mild air is going to cause our snowpack to take a pretty significant hit up north. You can see, by the time we get into Christmas, there's a chance we don't have any snow left on the ground in areas like Chicago. Kind of crazy. And even further off to the north as well. So quite a few areas actually have the chance of not seeing a white Christmas despite there being snow on the ground as we speak. So bit unfortunate for you snow lovers. Now, as we progress through the video, we unfortunately do have to talk about the West Coast again because the activity continues to ramp up. We do have a bit of a risk for severe weather across some of these areas of Oregon and Washington here, just a marginal risk, and it's mainly going to be for damaging winds, which non-thunderstorm wind gusts could definitely be very significant as well. So really, you're just going to be dealing with a lot of wind is what this is telling us. And then our snow impacts here, because there's going to be a ton of snow in your higher elevations. You can see, for Washington, yeah, we're talking about major to extreme impacts in your higher elevations. That doesn't change for portions of Montana as well, and then really everywhere in between. As we go into day 2, you could see this risk moving off to the east. This is tomorrow. We could potentially see some ground blizzard conditions up here through North Dakota, maybe portions of Montana as well, as we see are damaging to even potentially, I'm not saying this for sure, maybe even a couple of destructive wind gusts as well, which could be causing a ton of problems. And we'll go over that later in the video. Day 3 into Thursday, again, your atmospheric river continues and your snow continues to build up for Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Wyoming. I don't have to name everything off because, it's a lot of areas. Quite a few people are going to be getting impacted from this. Something quite unique I wanted to show you all as well is our avalanche risk. I actually had no idea I could view this on WeatherWise. This is pretty cool, right? Portions of northern Washington state, you could see a high risk of avalanches, mainly due to your damaging winds, your intense snow rates, up there falling, really fast. That is going to contribute to a very unstable snowpack, and avalanches will occur in certain locations. So you need to stay extremely aware with that. And let's just take a general look at your precipitation over your next really 10 days or so. And you can just see your atmospheric river continuing up north and even pushing a little further south into California. That is going to be expected. You can see a ton of storm systems, some of which could be quite major in intensity. And then, jeez, that is a ton of cold air. We'll see if that comes to pass. White Christmas for Seattle? That... I actually don't even know the statistics on that. I actually haven't looked that up, but that would be quite something to experience. And then a lot of other areas too. That could get quite cold. Not a forecast, it's just the European predictions, but we'll have to wait and see. Our rainfall from our European ensemble here has not changed at all. Over a foot of rain in quite a few mountainous locations, and then your snow mixed in with that is going to lead to a lot of problems. Take a look at all that and there. I don't have to go over that any further. And then your snowpack, again, just a ton of snow. It's going to be absolutely outrageous. Please be careful if you're going into the mountains. I'd highly advise against it. Then again, if you are going snow chasing in the mountains, well, that is going to be quite treacherous at times, but I guess also a lot of fun as well. And here's a detailed look at your wind gust forecast for Montana tomorrow. Well, this is actually going to be from your HRRR model, so really just a prediction. You can see your destructive winds that do begin to ramp up in your mountainous regions here as we head into tomorrow, starting around, I'd say 8 to 10 in the morning. Goodness gracious. Yeah, take a look at all this. Anywhere in your lavender/purple colors or above is 55 plus mile-an-hour wind gusts. That is just not good at all. And then kind of in your salmon colors here, that's around 80 mile-an-hour wind gusts. But just wait, because it gets a little bit crazier. As we get daytime heating, as your air begins to mix out a lot and your winds get shoved down to the surface a lot easier, goodness, you could really see it unloading here. Let's actually rewind a frame. And 85 miles an hour, look at this, almost 90 miles an hour in your higher elevations. Great Falls, Montana, around 70 miles an hour. Other surrounding areas, upwards of 80. So you're going to have a widespread damaging to even a destructive windstorm across Montana. And just look at all those lavender/purple colors on your screen. That is going to lead to a ton of issues indeed. And this continues to blow across the wide open state of Montana off to the east and just stays there for a very long time. You know, we're talking about damaging winds between 9 a.m. tomorrow morning through, and I'm still continuing here and continuing. Geez, I mean, look it up here as well. There's another round that just reloads on through. So damaging winds from 9 a.m. tomorrow morning to potentially midnight tomorrow night. Over 12 hours of wind. That's gonna be a problem. But you all, I'm sure, up there are used to it. We do tend to see a damaging windstorm or two every single winter. However, to this magnitude, it's a little more rare, but still not uncommon at all. And with that being said, thank you all so much for tuning into today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to my little corner of the weather community, and share this video with friends and family or on social media so they can get informed about, you know, the upcoming warm-up and then everything else that's happening out in the Pacific Northwest and Montana for your wild, windy Wednesday that is right up ahead. You all need to brace for impact and batten down the hatches. All right, you all have a wonderful night and stay very weather aware out there and don't blow away.